So there's something that I want to raise with our hookup fam. I want your opinion on this thing that happened recently to me. So I get a few DMs every now and I got one recently from a guy who said that he would pay me if I filmed myself burping.
Hot.
Yeah, he basically was like, let me know if this is something that you're into, if you just want to send me a few photos or videos of you burping. And I obviously put it on my close friends on Instagram to let everyone know that
You're wanted.
I'm out here hustling. And Pip, behind my back, she didn't get the DM. I got the DM from Burp Guy. Pip, behind my back, off of my close friends, goes and finds this man on Instagram and DMs him personally and says, hey, if you're interested, I can sell you my burp videos.
This is absolutely caught in 4K, but what did you expect me to do? I told you this
Not
year.
steal my burp guy.
This year I told you I'm getting my bag, and I meant it.
You mean my bag?
I mean my burp.
And do you want to tell everyone what happened?
Well, I messaged him. Didn't reply.
Crickets.
Didn't
Not
even
interested.
open the message. I even gave him a follow to be like, hey, hi. And you know what? I actually think that the guy is AI. I actually think this is an AI profile. And
He's
it's not
not
just
real.
me justifying
He's not real.
my rejection. It's not just me justifying that. I genuinely am like, I look at the photos again because it's all public, by the way. So that's why I don't feel bad about this. He's fully on public. But the photos, I was like, you know what? There's something about this is giving AI slop and I can't put my finger on it.
He's definitely a bot, but I just found it so funny that within seconds she's gone and stolen my burp guy and slid into his DMs. But yeah, you're going to have to try harder, doll, because
Clearly.
he's
It wasn't appealing to him at all. He said, I wanted a petite, blonde, micro fringe girl.
You wanted my
And I
best.
said, hello, what about me? Okay, I'm sorry for stealing the burp guy.
Let us know if you think that's a dog act.
But if you ever show me something like that again, I probably will pursue.
I'm going to have to hide you from my close friends.
You're chop. I'm getting the chop off the close friends.
She's lost the rotation. Okay, obviously we talk about burps and we talk about getting our bag, but we are also trained journalists.
That's correct.
We are trained journalists. We are serious journalists here at Triple J, and we have a very journalistic episode for you today.
Or maybe a very chronically online episode.
Yes.
Brought to you by a TikTok trend that we couldn't ignore. We kept seeing it in our For You pages and we thought, let's bring it to the show. Let's open it up to you. We're talking about micro-cheating. It's a really big topic at the moment. People are feeling some type of way about it. So let's get into it.
So like Pip said, this has become a really huge trend on TikTok of people giving out their examples of what they consider micro-cheating. And some of them, I don't know, they really blow your mind. People were saying that just liking someone's story, micro-cheating. Someone was saying going out to lunch, micro-cheating.
Just with someone who you're potentially attracted to, whether you're in a hetero relationship or queer relationship. It's like just having a relationship with somebody other than your partner.
Micro-cheating.
Micro-cheating.
Getting dressed up and looking good. Who for? These are examples of what people are saying.
That is insane.
If it's not for me, then who's it for?
Oh my God.
Like imagining yourself having sex with someone else or fantasizing, which we've done an episode on. And we kind of concluded that like it's your brain, you can do what you want.
Exactly.
But yeah, people are like, nah, that's micro-cheating.
Yeah. Obviously there are extremes on TikTok, but we did a little of research to find a bit of a definition that's less intense than that. Micro-cheating is basically a term used to describe small actions or behaviors that, while not constituting full-on infidelity, may still betray a partner's trust or emotional boundaries in subtle ways. So we put it on to you at Triple J The Hookup. If you're not already following us on Instagram, we asked you, what are your examples? Like, what do you consider micro-cheating? Paul got in touch and said, if you're still in contact with your ex, he reckons that's micro-cheating.
Okay. Dana saying, liking a girl's story of someone you have hooked up with in the past. Sophie here saying, saving and looking at your ex's nudes. Ooh. We just spoke about this.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think the jury was out on that. Like,
yeah.
It is a bit it's a bit strange.
Amy said, told me he was going home. Friends saw him getting drinks with a girl. I mean, that doesn't sound like micro cheating. Oh, but then again, they never did anything.
That's lying.
And it's a big lie. But
Yeah.
it's also a big assumption. It's like, well, are they friends? But also he lied to, I don't know.
Kaylin says, when your partner signs up to salsa classes and doesn't tell you that her ex-husband has also signed up.
That's shady.
Well, I mean, that's just not telling the whole truth.
This one I feel like people will have so many opinions on. Tia reckons that if you have a work, wife, husband or partner, that's micro cheating.
As in like having someone that you
Are close with at work.
close with at work.
I find that so interesting because I feel like everyone has that person.
Yeah.
It's a really spicy one. I'd be keen to hear what people think actually.
Jen saying, why would I need to like a man's half-naked story? That's Steph's micro cheating. Oh, this is really hard because obviously a lot of these are your ideas, right? These are like your examples of micro cheating and it's so individual. So I think we need to get into kind of unpacking the term micro cheating and like some of the reasons why people think these behaviors are like problematic
Yeah.
or like crossing a boundary.
Yeah, 100%. So we asked you, how do you feel about it? And we got quite a lot of responses. Angie said DMing with an ex, liking posts, feeling the need and hiding it from your partner and just causing insecurity. Micro cheating to me is such a major red flag and is a slippery slope and can morph and spiral into real cheating really, really fast. I think there's some truth in this. Death by a thousand cuts, you know? Like I think that if you continually do these like little subtle things and you have bad intentions, then I think it could be potentially a slippery slope into like actually making a move.
Well, a lot of people's examples of micro cheating involved hiding things from your partner and lying to them, which I think are potential small little acts that build up to a huge infidelity
Yeah, I agree.
in the long run.
I think there's definitely a possibility. But then again, like going back to this whole trend of micro cheating being like, you can't dress up and look good for somebody. Like you can't, like what?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so extreme and that's insane.
I think it's almost like we need to separate between like micro cheating examples where someone is like lying and hiding things from their partner and then like examples where people are just flirting or like showing interest in another person or having close relationships with other people. And I think that it is very nuanced. But I think that more on the side of hiding things and lying is probably more on the side of the slippery slope into actual proper
Yeah.
cheating.
Yeah,
Don't
I
you
would
think?
agree. Yeah, I would agree. It's interesting. Angie was kind of the only person that really said like she reckons it could be a major red flag in the slippery slope. Like everyone was giving examples, but she was like, I think this could like lead to something. But most of the DMs that we got, people did think like this was kind of bullshit. So Nina,
The term?
Yeah, the term. So, and some of the examples as well. So Nina was like, these seem absurd, like in an Insta story, getting food with someone that's this lunacy. Liz brought up a really good point as well, saying I shouldn't have to stop being friends with the opposite sex because I have a boyfriend.
This was so huge.
Yeah.
So many people messaged saying like, I don't want my partner to like go out for lunch or go out for coffee or go out for drinks with someone who's like the opposite sex. Like obviously we're hearing from hetero
Yes.
couples. But I just think that is wild to me.
Yeah.
First of all, it's so biphobic and queerphobic, like just to assume that like, I don't know, that everyone wants to get with your partner.
Yeah.
And secondly, like it's kind of anti-feminist.
How do you mean?
Well, okay, hear me out. So a lot of these DMs were coming from women and a lot of the TikToks were from women and girls being like, my partner's not allowed to like another girl's story or my partner's not allowed to like have a close friendship with another woman. To me, you're basically saying that your partner only sees and values women as like people that they only want to sexually be involved with.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's like you're so
Yeah.
threatened by other women because you like it's almost like internalized misogyny. Like you
Yeah.
also only see women as someone that
Like a
your partner
sexual
as a sexual object.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
someone that your partner only wants to have an emotional / sexual relationship with, and not as like a whole human being that can be
Yes.
seen as like a friend.
Okay, hear me out. Could you take this even further as well and say it's kind of anti-feminist as well, because we're trying to be like, hey, men should be able to like be open with their emotions and have strong female friends and like interact with like, you know, a lot of women in their lives, because that's like a good influence on people, I would assume.
Yeah.
Is that kind of crazy to even say that as well?
No,
'Cause it's like-
100%.
yeah.
Because if you personally as a woman want to be seen and valued equally as men, then you have to see other women just as equally as yourself. Like if you're happy to go around and like have friendships with other guys and be seen as like an equal, then you have to kind of allow everyone to be able to have friendships of all genders.
Yeah. And personally, can I say on a personal note, I feel like when a guy has a lot of girlfriends, I feel like that's such a green flag for me.
Oh my God, it's the biggest green flag.
Like it makes me feel good, safe. It makes me feel like they're getting, you know, maybe opinions that they might not have gotten if they were just only friends with blokes. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
My partner has so many female friends.
And how, yeah, you feel good about that.
Oh my God.
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah. I think it's a huge green
It's
flag.
such a green flag.
Yeah.
So that's why I just feel really strongly about people who say that that's micro cheating. And I'm just like, we have so many queer listeners.
Yeah.
And so many of you were saying that in our DMs. They were basically being like,
Yeah, be like, hello, bye people.
hello. So what, bi people can't have any friends?
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah.
At all?
At all. No.
No friends.
Cut
Sorry.
off.
You're attracted to every gender, so therefore you can't have any friends.
Now, look, we had a bunch of voice memos for this. I know you've been waiting for this, but we got some. This is from Claire.
So I have a handful of guy friends currently, and most of them have long-term partners. I go to the gym, go out for drinks, and occasionally go shopping with them alone. And most of the time they're happy to just go along with, and there's like no problems. They're just happy to be there. I've made it clear though through like actions and conversations that we're purely platonic and just friends. However, 1 year ago from now, I took a step too far with one of my friends who I found semi-attractive, and I made a move. We ended up sleeping together, and he cheated on his girlfriend of 5 years. And after the situation, I kept all my guy friends at arm's length because their behavior was very similar to that other guy's behavior. So in terms of like micro cheating, if my boyfriend was to do that to his girlfriends, I would feel quite confused and concerned just based off my experiences.
Okay. I feel like there's a lot to unpack from that actually. So obviously she had an experience where it confirmed that micro cheating can be a slippery slope.
It's definitely, a point of view that I think like kind of highlights like why people have these insecurities. But then I just think like that's not really on her, like it's on the partner that did that. And then if you already have like this strong feeling that you don't want your partner to have these friendships, or you're worried about a certain friendship, then that means you don't really trust your partner, and that's probably says more than anything else.
Yeah, we're going to get into that sort of like trust and sort of insecurity part. Speaking of, Natasha sent this great one where she was sort of saying she reckons the term micro cheating is very much like preying on insecurity.
I kind of see this micro cheating trend as a way to really like amplify that by tapping into people's insecurities. And I think that it's presented in such a definitive way that I can just imagine young people on social media looking at it and being like, oh my God, my partner has gone out and, you know, had a drink or whatever with someone of the opposite sex. And I think most people would see that as relatively innocent. But I think when it's phrased as this is a form of micro cheating, which will erode trust, I think that that's quite dangerous. And I think that there hasn't been a lot of room in the conversation or narrative that I've seen that really allows for grey area. I think that obviously everyone has different boundaries and they need to be respected and stuff, but I do think it can be used a little bit as a way to consciously or unconsciously control people's behaviour, as it gives them something to put it back on. And I think that that can kind of stem from insecurity.
Period.
Babe, you could write a PhD. That was such a good voice memo.
I know. I love that so much. And I think she's so right about like the word cheating and putting it like in that phrase. Like it's such a powerful by hanging out with people that they could be attracted to. It's like, man, you would be feeling like you'd be spiraling.
Well, yeah, like she said, we are so easily influenced by what we consume on our socials and media, and like you would see all these examples and then be like, oh, fuck, everyone's saying that this is micro cheating.
Totally.
My partner does this.
Yep.
And then you would almost plant the insecurity.
It's kind of feeling weird. Like it feels like a generational thing. Like it's like because we're so connected and we can like broadcast all these feelings and thoughts all the time, and then suddenly they're like legitimized because maybe 3 people in your feed said it, and then everyone's like, oh my God. And I don't know if this ever happened like before.
I think it's a bit of that, but I also think it's a bit of people really leaning into boundaries. There's a real therapy speak
pop psych
moment happening, which we've spoken about on the Hookup a lot. But I think there's a real strong sense of people being very secure in their boundaries and being like, nah, don't meet them, see ya. Like, these are my boundaries, don't care. Which I kind of think is really valuable. Like, it's good to know what your boundaries are, but at what point does it become a bit too far or too strong?
Do you want to hear a voice memo about this?
Yeah.
We got one from Thomas.
I don't necessarily think it's a real thing. I believe it is a buzzword or just a term for term's sake for people's anxieties and trust issues, and not that those are to be not taken seriously, but I reckon it's the term people are giving to more underlying issues. People need to trust their partners more.
Also, just quickly as well, we got this really good voice memo from Grace. From her perspective, I think you'll enjoy.
This whole micro-cheating trend just makes me so scared and nervous to be a good person and do nice things for other people. I'm autistic and it's already hard enough trying to navigate the world and learn all these social rules. And this micro-cheating trend has just created so many contradictions to everything that I've learned so far. And it just makes me want to stay single, to be honest.
How valid is that? Like if you're a neurodivergent and you're like, figuring out how to relate to people and working on that, and then suddenly everyone's like, hey, you can't actually be nice to anybody because they might think it's micro-cheating.
Might think it's flirting.
Yeah.
It might cross the boundary. It might cross someone's line.
Yeah.
It's so true. And it kind of goes back to what Natasha was saying, like there's just no nuance in this.
Yes.
And you and I were obviously doing a lot of research as journalists for this episode. And we found so many articles as well. Like it's not just TikTok. Like if you're someone watching or listening and you are like, ugh, like we need to stop giving TikTok so much, time and energy. It is obviously like a really huge part of how we consume media, but there's so many articles as well when we were looking this up where people were like 5 signs that this person is micro-cheating.
Yeah.
And you and I were looking at them going, I think that's not micro-cheating.
Yeah.
I think there's some value in, I don't know, like you said, I don't know if micro-cheating is the right term, but it's obviously the term that gives people the language to describe what their boundaries are when it comes to relationships.
Exactly.
But I think that, we need to get rid of that term. I think people are valid in working through where their boundaries are in relationships, but I just don't know if we should be categorizing it as like a form of cheating.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like great that people are being like, hey, this is a boundary for me, and discussing it with your partner.
Yes. Oh my God. We have a voice memo about this.
Okay.
This is so good. This is from Peter. I'm obsessed with this.
Media is a really, really great place for people to learn about relationships, and really, really good to learn from the experience of others. And after going through my own journey of exploring open relating, I really encourage people to look inward rather than to media and decide on what their own boundaries are, rather than just, I guess, copy and pasting from what others are saying. And even better, if you can create a space with your partner where you can actually talk through those boundaries and the different parts of you that are coming up when they're triggered. If you're going to use social media for anything, I probably really encourage people to use it to learn more about how to have those kinds of conversations.
Love that, Peter.
Yup.
Oh my God.
Tea.
That's what I was trying to say.
Sometimes we don't even need to say it.
I don't need to say anything.
Because you have come through.
You've already said it all.
But yeah, I really liked that encouragement as well. Like he was like, it's not bad. Like social media isn't bad. And it's been so good for us and for a lot of people. And maybe maybe I'm like demonizing it a little bit in this episode.
Well,
I'm not fully trying to throw shade on it completely.
But it's like these things become huge trends
And movements.
because they resonate. And
Yeah.
so I think that's why like micro-cheating has become such a huge thing, is like it's resonating with people and giving it language.
Also, on Peter's point, I don't know if you clocked it, but he was like, I've been open relating. So he's in open relationships. He sounds like he's been doing it for a while. We got this DM from someone, anonymous, saying, I don't get what I want out of my marriage and I micro-cheat to fill the void. Sad face.
No.
Which is not great. And I think Peter and this next voice memo from Grace, who is also in an open relationship, can kind of speak to this.
So my partner and I have been in a relationship for 9 years now, and coming up to 3 years of that has been open. And part of the reason why we opened our relationship is because he's bisexual and he was unfulfilled in our relationship. And so he brought up to me the idea of being open because he wanted to be with me, but he still wanted to be able to explore the other sides of him. So if you are unfulfilled in your relationship, you are unfulfilled in your relationship, and you owe it to your partner to have a chat to them about it and not invent like buzzwords to make yourself feel comfortable or justify your actions when it's not okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, this is probably why the micro-cheating examples of people lying to their partner or hiding relationships or deleting messages, that's all happening because they're not having a vulnerable, honest conversation about what they are needing out of that relationship or what they're not getting out of that relationship.
And the boundary thing as well, and just being like, hey, just so you know, I feel uncomfortable when you do this, blah, blah, blah. But sorry, I should have.
Was that a burp?
And I literally pulled my mic away. I should have.
Free